Happy New Year. Hello. We're live, everybody.
Happy almost New Year.
Almost New Year.
That's right.
Well, if you live over Hold on.
Feral children.
All right. Sorry, we had some technical issues here. We are live.
We are
This
live.
is so bad. This is great. I told you this show was going to work out great.
This is the best show ever. Already.
Hello? Oh, whoa. I'm hearing two shows here. All right. Hello and welcome to Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Machat from the wild woods of central Maine, and this is your home for all the news, information, and discussion in the handgunning world. And I'm out of breath. This week, Weerd and I discuss some of the potential new products that will be seen at SHOT Show 2017. So as always, Handgun Radio is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, and please check out the Patriot Patch Company for their awesome patches and other high-quality items. Visit patriotpatch.co for more information. And you can always shop Amazon using our affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And if you'd like to help support Handgun Radio, head over to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and click on HGR. So Weerd, how you doing this week?
I'm doing good, but I noticed you don't ask me how to help support the show anymore.
I knew you never supported the show, Weerd, so I didn't want to ask you anymore.
Support the show. I'm a co-host.
No, I know. I was just trying to change it up a little bit.
I got you.
So what did you do?
It was really cold. It was really cold.
It is.
Shoveling snow. Over Christmas, I shoveled so much snow because it was one of those.
Yeah.
I shoveled out my mother-in-law's house and like twice, and then and then came home and there was snow in my driveway, and so I had to shovel that out. And it's been my driveway is a complete sheet of ice because hasn't gone above 20 degrees in the last like 4 days, or actually probably like a week now.
So how was it for you a couple days ago? Because I know I woke up like 2 days ago and it was negative 20.
It has not gotten that low. It's definitely. There was one morning my wife and I went out to breakfast and the thermometer in the car read 1.
I mean, it's just now gotten to the point where I decided I need to start wearing long pants and not shorts.
That's really how you're going right now. I'm sitting down in my armory with a blanket wrapped around me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it has been a while since we've had a show, actually. We recorded the last show quite a ways before that because we took a week off because of Christmas. But for Christmas, I got 250 rounds of 9mm. I got almost 1,000 rounds of 22 long rifle, and I got to do some shooting out in the backyard.
Nice.
Which was cool. And I'm also building a Telecaster electric guitar, which has nothing to do with Handgun Radio. But if you are a friend of mine on Facebook and you see any of those posts, that's also what I'm doing. So,
though, to be fair, the first thing I said to you when you sent me the picture of it was, man, those revolver grips look awful.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm like, yeah, exactly. They purposely look awful. But we'll see how that comes out. So, did you get anything interesting for Christmas, Weerd?
Not a ton of stuff. I mean, my wife and I really don't do like a whole lot of gift stuff. So I got a bunch of like little knickknacks, got a bunch of bartending stuff, that my wife grabbed for me, and some clothes, socks and underwear, that sort of stuff. Not a ton. I mostly am in Christmas for the eating.
I'm with you there. I actually ended up making a sort of a Christmas dinner tonight with my wife, so that was nice. So what is your drink segment this week?
So it was just before Christmas, my wife had a minor procedure, and it was one of those like no eating, after midnight the day before. She's like, "Oh God, I'm gonna need something, so I could still do liquids. So can you get me some juice?" So I went to the grocery store and got some juice just for her, just to have something in her stomach before the cutoff period where, all right, no more liquids. And so I had a bottle of cranberry juice and I just had to do it. And I had a bottle of cranberry juice. And for whatever reason, 100,000 years ago, my wife bought like a ton of nip bottles at the New Hampshire liquor store and then put them in the liquor cabinet and has done nothing with them ever since. And so I had a bunch of these like, what is it? Absolute Citron and Absolute Mandarin like nip bottles that were just gathering dust. And I had a bottle of cranberry juice. So you know what I said? You know what? I've never had one. Let's make a cosmopolitan.
Uh,
Exactly. Sex in the City, fruit pink drink and all that. But who knows? I used to make fun of Mai Tais, and then I've made a few of them, and it's not my favorite drink on earth, but you know what? It's not a bad drink. It's not.
I did say I was surprised that we were drinking it. I just want to know how it is.
It is. It's so the recipe I've got here in the show notes is not bad. And again, the big thing is like we normally don't have juice in the house. I'm not a juice drinker. It's definitely much lighter than, my standard like dry martini. Is so what it is 1.5 ounces of citrus vodka. Right now I'm using Absolute Citron, but I've also used the Mandarin one, and they both work really, really well. And for those who have nip bottles laying around, it's just 1.5 ounces is one of those nip bottles. A half ounce of triple sec, a half ounce of lime juice, and 1 ounce of cranberry juice. And you shake that and serve it in a cocktail glass. And it's a palatable drink. I must say, it's not a great drink, but it works. It works. I won't look down my nose if that's your thing.
Would you make it again?
No, because I'm not going to buy this. I just used the last nip bottle that was in there. I used a few the other day, just figuring out the ratios exactly how I wanted them, and then this cranberry juice is going to be gone pretty soon because eventually I'm just going to get sick of looking at it and dump it down the drain. And and then away we go back to some of my more standard drinks.
Excellent. So with that, we'll head into the main topic, the SHOT Show 2017 new products discussion. So firstly, before we get into anything else, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Richard Johnson over at gunsholstersandgear.com. His website is usually the place that we go for all the upcoming SHOT Show info. This is actually SHOT Show 2018, so I mistitled the episode and the show notes, so I'll be sure to fix that before the show posts. But Richard compiles pretty much all the rumors and all the new stuff, rifles, pistols, and shotguns, and all the gear as well that has either been confirmed or is rumored on his website at Guns, Holsters, and Gear every year. It's a fantastic resource. I definitely recommend you go check it out. So first off, we'll start with Ruger because they're usually the elephant in the room because they have the habit of releasing everything before SHOT Show.
They also have a really, really deep catalog too. I mean,
Right.
they're humongous. Like them and Smith & Wesson have got to be like two of like the biggest like arms makers in the world. As far as like how much they put out.
Well, and Ruger doesn't do the whole thing of like, oh, well, let's put out a gun in a different color or a different finish and call it a new model. They actually tend to put out guns with different like physical features.
Yeah.
And like pretty significant modifications to maybe their existing product line.
Yeah. And they put different colors though. They're also not like, Kimber's the king of it, of the, just
Kimber and Sig.
Rainbow, Kimber and Sig, rainbow of colors. And there's nothing wrong with that. As a matter of fact, I think that's absolutely awesome. Like I love, like I have some trouble with the quality control in Kimber, but man, they've got to make some really good looking guns. They also make some guns that I think are really ugly, but that's also not a bad thing because they're not really ugly on the whoever thought of that. That's really they're ugly of that's not really my thing. But something that's not really my thing, someone else is going to be like, oh my god, look at that. That is out of this world. So it's cool that they have a bunch of different colors and patterns and stuff like that. Because you know what, guns don't have to be just black or silver. But yeah, Ruger does really likes to mix up their products a lot.
Well, and we'll start with some of the newer, like the big ones that were really announced. The EC9S. So this is Ruger's economy take, I suppose, on the LC9S. You have more coarse slide serration, so there's not as many. It looks like there's a whole lot less milling operations on the slide overall. It looks like, I believe the sights are actually milled into the slide as opposed to adjustable. Like the LCP, they're just a little, okay, yeah. Sights are integral to the slide instead of replaceable. They have serrations on their faces to reduce glare when shooting in bright light, and the inclusion of only one magazine. But the only one that comes with it is a pinky extension, and the suggested retail price is $299.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, I mean, that's a pretty decent pistol for not a bad price. And if they can keep the quality control up where it counts, that's going to be a really good option.
Well, I think they're going to. I mean, for a company like Ruger, I mean, they are really, really good at their quality control. I mean, even like a few years ago when it was one of those, we were making jokes that like all the Rugers were shipped with a FedEx shipping label in a box. Because
people are still making that joke.
Yeah, they had a ton of product recalls, but I never heard of like anybody either getting their gun to do whatever the heck Ruger was claiming might happen to it. Whether it was get the gun to drop safe or get it so that you could take the safety off and that would cause the sear to slip off or the safety would cause the striker or the hammer to slip off the sear. Or any of these, supposed, dangerous things. Certainly no one's ever gotten hurt by an improperly built Ruger firearm. They're just being very, very diligent about it. I mean, I see that as far as everything I've heard, the turnaround has been always very fast with those. Is you send them out and they turn around and they come right back, and I can't fault that. Like they've had really, really good quality control, and just Ruger's always been good. I mean, they've got all their castings and things like that to lower production costs of things, but still, keeping them good. I mean, look at all the like the P90 series pistols that are still out there and still running just fine. So I'm not worried about their quality control. Again, it's just they've just done a bunch of stuff that makes the gun cheaper to make, and I think, I think that's gonna work out. I think that's gonna work out in the long run. So yeah, no, you're not gonna have the best sights in the world. It's not gonna, have the best feel in the hand or, with the slide. But, let's face it, it's a little small pocket or purse gun that's chambered in 9mm, and it's gonna shoot that, full powered round all day long. And you can get it for short money. And I really think that the world needs lots of inexpensive firearms that are not cheap firearms.
Well, and you look at their next entry. Have you looked much at the Security 9?
Not a ton, just a little bit on it, on just
well, Daniel Waters pointed something out to me, because when I first looked at it, if you just look at the pictures that Ruger supplied, you would think that it was a striker fired pistol. It's not. It's hammer fired.
Yeah.
And it uses the same system that the LCP2 features. With the short take up and the little flipper trigger safety in the middle, as well as the hammer. But
yeah, if you look closely at the production stuff, it's got that gap in the back where the hammer reciprocates back, just like on the LCP.
So I mean, it looks like a decent pistol. I have yet to get my hands on one, but it looks like it would feel good in the hand.
Well, what's really neat is that we'll be talking about it later, but the PC carbine It's it comes from the factory taking the SR9 series magazines, but they point out that it also will take the Security 9 magazines. So it is essentially, well, it's got some lower cost manufacturing features to it. It is essentially a Glock 19 to the Glock 17 that is the SR9. It's
SRP is $379 on that pistol.
Yeah, and we know that that'll come in a bunch lower than that. You bet you can get a brand new one for probably close to 3 even once they start getting out there. Yeah, I think it's cool. I love the name too. I like that it's going back to like the old Security 6, just like with the Smith & Wesson bringing out the M&P, going back after the old Model 10s.
Well, if Ruger can keep the reliability up on it, do you know how many like security companies and stuff would buy into this?
Yeah, I could see that as being interesting, and it's also, again, it's got the manual thumb safety too, which it's not my favorite thing on the earth, though I must say
it would be their favorite thing though, and that.
Oh, there's lots of people out there that would be very, very comfortable with a gun like this that has a manual safety. And again, it's a great little manual safety. It's going to be, it's not going to introduce any problems.
I would like to see the specs that some of like the armored car companies and places have for service pistols.
Yep.
And see how close this comes to it.
Mm-hmm.
And see what they're missing or what it actually has, and see if like, because this seems like a pistol that was designed with that market in mind as well. Because I mean, Glock would have to lowball an incredible amount to probably match the offer that Ruger would do if it was a large enough order.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the only thing about the armored car line is,
not specifically, like not just armored cars,
but private security. But like specifically the armored car crews, they tend to be going more towards full size pistols just because they're usually got like the drop leg holster,
right,
and all that, so you can carry a pretty big gun. And this one's really in the compact size range.
Still looking at 15+1 though in the regular one.
Yeah.
And then they have, I think it's a California, Massachusetts compliant one below that.
Oh yeah, with the 10-round magazine.
Yeah. And then lastly, the PC9 carbine. This is the one I'm really excited about because if you've been listening to Handgun Radio for any length of time, you have probably heard me talk about how Ruger should bring back a carbine in a pistol caliber because the other one was really awesome. And actually, probably not, maybe a year and a half ago, my local shop, A&G Shooting and Supply, got a bunch of the old Ruger PC carbines in.
Are they called PC carbines? Was that the old model?
What year was it? What the hell was the name of it? The earlier ones. Whatever. It was the Ruger carbine in a pistol caliber, and it took the Ruger P series magazines. We'll go from there. You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
Yep.
And they got those from the state police as like the trade-ins or whatever, I believe. And they sold pretty quickly. I think there was only one left, maybe like 6 months ago, and I believe they're all gone now.
What were they selling them for?
They were up in the, I think, mid-5s.
Okay.
I mean, they were in fantastic condition. I don't even think they were ever probably issued out of the armory. But I always thought, once I saw the Ruger take down the 1022, I was like, why can't they do this in an upsized version?
Mm-hmm.
And now they have. I know Doc Wesson at the Gun Nation. I remember listening to him talk about it all the time, too. And he and I were actually just talking the other day, and we were discussing how cool it would be if they did one in a woodstocked version in 357 Magnum with the rotary magazine.
Ooh. Or I would go even further, is bring back the Deerfield and have a 44 Magnum rotary magazine, gas operated.
You could probably do both.
Yeah,
they can figure out something.
You probably do 357. Yeah, actually, gas operated 357 would be amazing.
But I mean, just
that thing would be stump puller powerful, because 357 Magnum's nothing to sneeze at out of a revolver. But put it in a put it in a 16-inch barrel, it's really going to be pushing some energy. And then on top of that, add a gas operated action to it, it's gonna be an absolute kitten as far as recoil goes.
Well, and with the rotary magazine, you avoid all rim lock issues with a rimless cartridge or with a rimmed cartridge, so you don't have to worry about that. But I just thought that would be a nice little addition for the people who might not like the black stocked, takedown, suppressed, Picatinny railed PC model. I personally do like that one, however, and I will have one.
Oh,
and I don't think I'll ever take the Ruger magazine. Well, I don't think I'll ever put the Ruger magazine well in it. I'm pretty sure it's going to stay Glock magazine well.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. I like the fact, because I remember you were messaging me and you were like, "Oh, you know, it's an adapter block." I said, "No, it's an actual magazine well."
Yeah.
Which
I'm still curious about it because it's one of those, it drops in and out pretty easy. I'm just it knowing Ruger, they probably got it to work just fine. But I'm just curious about something that goes in and out that easily. That is it, you know, can it not get bumped or jostled in such a way that it screws up the feed geometry?
Right.
But yeah,
we'll
it's really cool that it's got the whole setup. It's essentially a 1022 that's 1022 that's scaled up to 9mm, and it's got the takedown. So it's got the button underneath you lock the bolt to the rear, and then push the button underneath the barrel, and the whole barrel assembly pops right off. Oh, and it's got a reversible charging handle, so you can actually put the charging handle on the correct side instead of it being on the right side. I'm very much married to the left-hand charging design.
The one thing I was talking about with one of the guys from Geeks, Gadgets, and Guns was the fact that the rear sight is mounted on the takedown barrel portion. And people were talking about what POI shift would be there if they mounted an optic on the Picatinny rail that's on the receiver after you've taken the barrel off and put it back on. So that is a potential concern there if you are looking at getting one of these and putting
it is, but they've got some like tensioning. I'm trying to remember what it is because I've only handled a takedown one. But
on the takedown, you have a tensioning ring that you can actually like get the thing put on there for the first time and tension it down, and that will be like the set point. It's like a set screw almost.
From what I've heard about the 1022 takedown is, yeah, even if you've got like even if you put a dot up on the receiver, it's going to maintain its zero pretty well. You'd be hearing about it everywhere on the don't you dare put a red dot on top of that 1022, because the moment you take the barrel off, you're gonna have to re-zero it. The only thing weird about it is that the rear sight on this thing, so it's got its iron sights are mounted on the barrel, so you're never gonna have a zero shift with that. But the rear sight is an aperture sight, like mounted up on the barrel. Like that just I've never seen that before. I've only seen aperture sights mounted, back close to your eye.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it could just be a really huge ghost ring, maybe not so much an aperture.
Yeah, I guess it'll probably work like the High Point ghost ring sights that they have.
Oh my God, is Ruger copying High Point?
Well, I don't. I mean, a bunch of
a
bunch of people have done that. Just High Point's the one company I know that like is big on shipping guns right from the factory with a ring for the rear aperture.
So we should probably move on from Ruger here, but I just got a couple more I wanted to quickly look at on new handgun. We got the Mark IV standard, so you're getting basically the Ruger Mark pistol in 22, looks like the original, the number one.
Yep, with that tapered barrel.
Right.
That's a good look.
It does. It looks nice. And then the Mark IV tactical with Picatinny rails all over the place.
All over the place.
The Ruger SP-101 Match Champion. This was the one I think I'd seen a few people complain, like, why is it named the Match Champion? It's only a 5-shot revolver. That's like naming a J-frame like the Match Champion. And yeah, it may not be for competition, but I don't know. I think that maybe not the big front fiber optic sight, but I think the rest of it looks really awesome for like a small-ish revolver with a little bit longer barrel.
Yeah, it does have nice lines to it.
The grip angle is different too. I think it's just the grip though. I'm not sure like the frame would be altered at all.
Probably not, but the grip does look a little bit more swept back.
Other than that, Ruger's pretty much doing what they do, making awesome guns.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you take this one, Weerd, since you're the 1911 expert,
Mm-hmm.
the Springfield Army operator in 10 millimeter.
Yeah, well, I mean, really, when it boils down to like 1911, it's one of those. Oh, what do you get? Some people would say, oh, it's if it's a Colt, if it's not a Colt, it's not a 1911. But I mean, honestly speaking, these days there's a lot of management problems going on with Colt, and so I don't think that you're getting what you need for the money out of those. And so, me, I've sided with Smith & Wesson. I really like Smith & Wesson, and I would recommend them to anybody. But the other one that comes up all the time for just out of the box, rock solid 1911 are Springfields. And now they've got their TRP, which I actually don't know the whole decoder ring of which 1911 this one is. Well, it's probably tactical rail because it's a railed 1911, which I'm not crazy about. But if you're going to be throwing a light or a laser or something on your on an accessory rail, it's fine. And one of the reasons I don't like it is that it won't fit into standard 1911 holsters. But so many people make a railed 1911 now that everyone makes a railed 1911 holster. But this one is in 10 millimeter, which I'm still so happy that people are still coming out with 10 millimeter guns. I'm waiting for it to make more of a comeback. Just because
it's one larger.
Yeah, it's 1 millimeter larger than 9.
This,
and a
this
whole
one,
lot more energy.
This one goes to 10.
Yeah. So yeah. So it's a 5-inch all metal fixed sight 1911 with a rail and ambidextrous safety, and it's in 10 millimeter. How awesome is that? And let's see at the magazine. They're
8 round.
8 rounds. So looks like it's a flush fit. But again, everyone, a bunch of people making. You can go get a what is it? A Wilson Combat. What is it? 9 round. 9 round with the bumper pad.
I hear good things about the Springfield operator series.
Yeah,
in the 1911 world.
Yeah. Oh, and they're also all of the Springfields. They use essentially a Series 80 design, and they use a titanium firing pin. So it's going to be drop safe, but it's not but it doesn't have any sort of Guga in there to lock the firing pin to the slide. And actually, I just realized we didn't put it in the show notes. We should put this one in, but I don't know if you've heard the news, but Chip McCormick is retiring.
Really?
And so he is going to be selling off the assets of the company. And you know who's taking it? No. Wilson Combat. So now all the two of the names for 1911 parts and supplies, Chip McCormick and my 1911s. What parts didn't aren't factory parts from Smith & Wesson are either Chip McCormick or Wilson Combat. And now the two companies are going to be merged together. I think that's great.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, and I've had some problems with some Chip McCormick mags in the past. Though I've got a 10-round mag that I've been playing around with recently, and it hasn't given me any problems yet. So I don't know if I just got some really bad luck or what the story is. But Wilson Combat makes the best 1911 magazines, bar none, and have it rolling Chip McCormick's stuff in with Wilson's quality control, I think is nothing but good for everybody.
So the next one here, I don't actually have a link for in the show notes because it's pretty basic, but it's a CZP-10C in urban gray with a threaded barrel and suppressor sights. The CZP-10 is a pistol I was really impressed with the last time when we saw it. I think that was actually the show it was debuted at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it in Louisville?
Yes.
And I haven't really heard a lot about it since then. Do you notice that? Weird.
Yeah. Wait, the tens is the tens a striker, right?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
their striker fired one, and it was like, there was a huge buzz when it came out, and then I only see like a few of my friends who I feel are more like intense shooters, like they do it a lot more than like even I do,
Yep.
and they've been using them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if they just kind of went and just didn't catch on in the general public, and people who are really discerning shooters are like picking them up,
I mean,
or
I'm not going to say it's a bad gun because I've got no experience with it whatsoever. But and overall, knowing what I know about CZ, they don't make a bad gun. But I feel like what I like about CZs is I like the CZ 75 series.
right. So people who are going to gravitate towards a CZ are going to want the
Yeah.
CZ action.
Yeah, it's not a real CZ, if you will, and the fact that it's got the rails are running outside of the on the inside of the slide instead of on the inside of the frame, and it's striker fired instead of hammer fired, which is fine. I'm perfectly fine with. That's the one thing that I'm like, CZ, I can take it or leave it, is the double action, single action, but it doesn't have. It looks more like a Glock than a CZ.
Basically, if you are a CZ fan or a CZ owner, you may be more inclined to purchase this gun. But if you're someone who is not experienced with either and you're looking for a striker fired pistol, you may end up going with like Glock or something else.
Yeah.
I did like the CZP10 that I handled though.
Cool.
But the new Kimber K6S revolver models. Now, we saw these weird, and they were just in the snubby version at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And these ones, I do like that 3-inch one.
Let me scroll down to see the.
This isn't the right link. They have a 3-inch model with, I want to say, Roper style grips on it.
Well, 3 inch is a great size for a revolver.
Yeah, there we go. They already have it on their website. I'll put this in the show notes just so people can see what we're talking about here.
Yeah, that is nice.
6-inch, 6-round, 3-inch, 357 Magnum revolver, walnut grips, MSRP of $8.99, weight ounces with empty cylinder 25.1.
I mean, I think that's a really good idea too, because Kimber's in a very, very interesting position in the fact that they've got a 6-shot, essentially compact revolver. It is certainly very, very small and not, that much bigger than not much bigger than, say, a Smith & Wesson J frame or a Ruger LCR or the SP-101. But theirs has got the 6-shot, just like the new Colt Cobra. It's the Cobra, right?
Yeah, the Colt Cobra.
Yeah. Just making sure I got my snakes right. But you can put like a little bit of a beefier grip on that thing and a little bit of a longer barrel. And now all of a sudden you've got a gun that's essentially the size of an SP-101, but competing with a GP-100. That's just, or something that's a J frame size, but can compete also with the with the L frames.
That rear sight melted into that top strap and back strap is also extremely attractive and also very useful.
Yeah.
As compared to like your usual trench sight on small revolvers.
Yeah, they're nice. They're nice. Yeah, and the fact that it's got like removable the dovetailed rear sights, so you can change them out. I think it's a cool gun. From what I've heard, I haven't heard a lot, but from what I've heard, they're nice revolvers, and so I like the fact that they can move up and down within that size range by adding a longer barrel and a little bit more of an extended grip.
So with the popularity of 10 millimeter auto, it looks like this is Spear Gold Dot now coming out with their own 200 grain round. We don't have a velocity yet, but Richard did report it on his website. So
Be interested to see what the velocity is, because when I look at my load books, a lot of the 200 grain um, gold, the 200 grain 10 millimeters, you aren't really getting a ton of velocity out of them, but something tells me that I think you can get a little bit more uh, out of that round. But yeah, it's good to see that coming out again. I would love to see this round catch on a little bit more. It's it's more powerful than a 357 Magnum, but yet it'll fit. It's a approximately the size of a 45, but given that it's more narrow than a 45, you can get more in a magazine. So, your standard single stack 1911 will hold 8 or 9 instead of 7 or 8. It's just a cool round.
and I would also be curious to know if Spear ever made the Gold Dot in a 10 millimeter prior to this. I don't know about that. I'll have to look that up.
I've never looked it up, so.
And then Streak Visual Tracer rounds, Cold Tracer Tech. These, I remember reading about something similar to this in one of the gun magazines back when I was a kid. It was like little stickers you could put on the base of your bullets if you were a reloader. And when you fired, it would do cold tracer technology and you could see it, but it had to be dark out.
Like, so the stickers like glow in the dark, or was there actual like phosphorescence on them?
It was a cold burn technology or something.
Huh.
I don't remember it exactly. But apparently these are preloaded with similar technology that you can see. They may be brighter. This was probably about 7 or 8 years ago or even longer than that, almost 10 or 12 years ago, probably, that I was reading that. So it's been quite a while since then.
A few years ago, like 5 or 6, I think by now, Fiocchi came out with some shotgun rounds that were essentially cold tracers, and I think those ones actually had what was essentially a glow stick, where the little ampule that of the two chemicals that mix together is shattered by the recoil of the round going off, and it would have a little tracer streak across the sky.
So right here, I remember hearing about the Fiocchi shells. Right here it says streak rounds are not an incendiary. They don't use burning metals to generate light. Replacing fire hazard burning metals is a non-flammable phosphor material that utilizes the light emitted during the discharging of the round to make streak glow. Streak does not generate heat, making it safe to use in environments where traditional tracers are prohibited and can be a serious fire hazard.
And I mean, that's a big thing to consider, is tracers are a major fire hazard, because again, as they said, tracers use burning metal, and when metal burns, it burns hot, hot, hot. And I've, always made a joke that, like, oh yeah, with tracer ammo, a little bit of bad luck, you could start a fire in a parking lot with them.
I mean, watch Mythbusters use what the hell did they use to melt through the engine block of that car?
Oh, thermite?
Yeah.
Well, like, thermite's a little bit different.
A little bit different, but I mean, that's some messed up stuff. It's not normal fire.
No. It's not. You can't put it out with water and things like that. It's no it's no joke, and it's one of those, like, shooting tracers, or heck, just watch the night videos of the night shoot. I mean, it's all over YouTube. Night shoots from Knob Creek, and all these guys shooting tracers at, like, junk cars, and see how much of those tracers are spattering just everywhere. They're going up in the air and they're going off to the side and all that. Just, that's, every one of those sparks is, like 1,000 degrees, and that's just looking to start a fire. So yeah, if you want something that's a tracer, but you can do something that's not going to have any fire hazard into it, that's awesome. That's nothing but good.
So the last one for the confirmed column is the new Polymer 80 subcompact Glock frame, which is just awesome. You got to do one of these, Weird. Can you do one of these?
Are you
able to do one of these? If you wanted to theoretically do one of these, but you would never do so.
No, well, so the bottom line is I don't think there's anything illegal for me to do it in Massachusetts. So I can't go and buy a fourth generation Glock, but it's not because I can't buy a fourth generation Glock. It's just that being that the standard law is if you're going to buy a firearm, you need to buy it through needed to buy it through a dealer, and dealers are not allowed to sell guns that are not on the safety roster. So, but meanwhile, if there was a private sale of somebody, then I could buy it. And like I have a few off roster firearms, and that is just because they were bought through private sales or were grandfathered in before the law goes through. But yeah, so I don't think I could. I think a polymer 80 subcompact, I think there would be nothing to stop me, especially since like a Glock 26 and a Glock 27 both are under 10, 10 or under rounds for their standard magazines. So yeah, there shouldn't be a problem because again, to build it, you can legally build it. So yeah, it would not be illegal, but I don't know if I could do it because I think I just screw it up.
I mean, I have to try it sometime. I just cut the neck pocket for an electric guitar with a router, so I'm pretty sure I could probably do this.
Yeah, you could do that. Yeah, you've got woodworking skills.
Well, this isn't made out of wood. Weird.
Well, yeah, but just I don't work with.
Sorry, I'm being a smartass. I should stop.
I work with living tissue.
Oh, never make jokes with a biologist. All right, so rumored, last one before we wrap up the show here, and we've saved the best for last.
The best.
New Taurus revolvers. So Richard has a nice article over at his website. If rumors are to be believed, Taurus has a number of new revolvers coming out in 2018. They have not yet been announced by the company, but he has a number of sources providing details that make them appear to be credible. First one is a large framed revolver, the Raging Hunter. And it will have a Picatinny rail on the top for adding a scope. The barrel is 6.5 inches long with an octagonal shape and ported.
Wow.
I believe they don't specifically state the caliber, so it may be 44 or maybe something larger.
Well, they're saying 44 Magnum.
Well, potentially.
Yeah.
The next one I do kind of like. This is the model 856. So it's a 6-shot 38 special with a steel frame with a 2-inch barrel and a weight of about 22 ounces. Basically a direct competitor to the recently reintroduced Colt Cobra.
Yeah, that is kind of cool. Is it's essentially the size of a Colt Cobra, but or the Kimber. But again, Taurus got their start, copying Smith & Wesson's under license. And so it's got a lot of Smith & Wesson features to it. So that's kind of nice.
So that would be pretty interesting. It looks like he said that the gun was supposedly made before this and discontinued in later 2012. But older 856 revolvers also had an option for a magnesium frame that dropped the weight to less than a pound. Interesting.
Yeah, until you hear about how those magnesium frames held up.
Model 692. Now this one was kind of interesting too. This one may be entirely new. It's supposed to be a 357 Magnum revolver that comes with a 9mm conversion cylinder. So you could shoot 38 special 9mm and 357 from the same gun. A centerfire convertible revolver in 3 or 6 inch barrel length and have a steel frame. Now, if it's double action, that would be an interesting. It certainly wouldn't be a competitor to something like the Korth revolvers, and that's an understatement in and of itself.
Yeah.
But
well, I don't think has Taurus ever made a single action revolver.
They made a convertible double action rimfire revolver, I believe, a couple years back. I don't know.
I just meant you were just saying if it's going to be a double action. And I don't think Taurus makes a single action. I've never seen them
Oh, well, they did those Gaucho revolvers back in the day in 45
Mm,
45 long Colt.
yep.
I don't think they do them anymore though.
No, I think it's gonna be double action.
But what other? So they must be, because I remember who was it talking about? Taurus had a revolver that was called like the Trident or something, the Tri something.
Hmm.
It had convertible cylinders and it was double action and it got shelved. I was reading that somewhere and I can't recall where it was now.
Yeah, I don't remember.
But it seems like they kind of gotten that. If that was true, they've kind of gotten everything worked out, or hopefully. Um, it would be interesting to see because you see that with like Ruger doing their Blackhawks. You can change the cylinders out, and I mean they may not be the most accurate, but they do work for shooting 9 millimeter.
Hmm.
So it would be interesting to have a similar option in a double action revolver.
Yeah,
That's not like $3,000.
or get the Medusa cylinder so you could shoot 30 Tokarev out of it.
I have a bunch of 32 ACP. What should I do? Buy a Medusa. So excellent. So any other thoughts before we wrap up, Weird?
Speaking of 32 ACP, again, North American Arms needs to upscale their mini revolver and make the slightly larger mini revolver in 32 ACP. Like, it makes so much sense.
Well, we said it a bunch with Ruger for the carbine, so maybe if we say it enough for NAA, they'll do it.
Yes, and Ruger also, again, a full size 6-shot 357 with the with the polymer frame.
All right, so with that, we'll head into the wrap up section and close out the show. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. Head to firearmsradio.tv and click the affiliate link on the upper right hand corner. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook and share it with your friends, and leave us a review on iTunes. Be sure to listen to all the great shows on the Firearms Radio Network, and be sure to visit the Firearms Insider. And also check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Weird, thanks for coming on, and where can people find you?
Well, my blog is weirdworld.com, and you can also listen to me on the Squirrel Report. And unfortunately, at the time of this recording, we have just released the final episode of the Gun Blog Variety Cast. So unfortunately, that show is no more. So we'll see what happens in the future.
Oh, we are very sad to hear that, but we wish everybody involved with that the best because you guys have supported us, and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Yeah.
So until next week, have fun. You can still hear Weird here. He's not going anywhere from here.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'm still sticking around here. Yeah. Ryan hasn't fired me yet, but just wait. There's going to be some insubordination.
Well, Happy New Year, listeners. Thank you for everything. And until next week and next year, as the time of this recording, have fun and safe shooting.